Welcome into the Packers Report, everybody. My name is Joey Petersen. We're going to have a little fun on today's show. I'm going to give you 3 blockbuster trade targets for the Green Bay Packers as we get closer and closer to that NFL trade deadline. Adam Schefter reported just a couple of days ago that after Sunday's games, we should start seeing an uptick as teams start to get desperate. And I expect the next couple of days, next 24 to 72 hours, to be a lot of fun if you cover the National Football League, which we are lucky enough to do. But we only cover the Packers on a daily basis, so make sure you guys hit that subscribe button so that way we can take a hold of our season-long sub-battle against our biggest rivals over there at Bears Now. They're up 4 subscribers. I think this is the closest we've been to them in like weeks, Gage. So help me out, help me take the lead, and hit that subscribe button. Like mentioned earlier, that NFL trade deadline just keeps getting closer and closer as it is Tuesday, November 4th at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. That is when all trades have to be finalized. The question we're going to talk about today is, does Brian Gutekunst want to make another splash for the Green Bay Packers? Does he feel like there are holes in this roster that still need to be filled? Because we all know the Micah Parsons trade absolutely rocked the NFL. And even though we covered those rumors for the days and even weeks leading up to it, I don't think any of us believed it was ever actually going to happen. And then it did, and we've seen the payoff so far in this season with how good he's been and how good your defense has been as well. Now, I will say, there's not a trade among anybody in the National Football League that would be as big as that Micah deal. Like, think of the biggest names in the sport. None of the quarterbacks are getting traded. I don't know if there is a bigger defensive player than Micah Parsons right now. Myles Garrett's not getting traded. And so you're not going to get anything like you did with Micah Parsons earlier, but at least these ones might be a little bit close. Let's start with Quinnen Williams, defensive tackle for the New York Jets. And I'll just tell you right here, Quinnen Williams, I think, would fit perfectly in this Green Bay Packers defense, and this would be a big one. For sure. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I would be absolutely fired up to see Quinnen Williams in a Green Bay Packers uniform because interior defensive line help is something that you really need. Interior defensive line depth is something that you really need. And there's no surprise. You knew when you traded away Kenny Clark to the Dallas Cowboys that the interior defensive line on this team would be lacking a little bit. Well, if you get Quinnen Williams in the building, it would be doing the exact opposite. He's off to a strong start in 2025, 32 tackles in 8 games, 7 of those for loss, 1 sack, 0 pass breakups. He's on trend to have a career high in tackles for loss and tackles this year in his 4-year career. And if you look at the run stop rate among interior defensive linemen across the league, he is the highest, and it's not even really close at 15.1%. And I truly believe that this is exactly what you need because you got the pass rush on lock. You got 2 of the best edge rushers in the game, but Quinnen Williams makes your run defense and your run stopping absolutely elite. We've gotten some new reports from Ian Rappaport earlier this week about Quinnen Williams. As he says, the New York Jets, 3-time Pro Bowler Quinnen Williams and his teammate running back Breece Hall have garnered plenty of interest. Williams is likely to be the most intriguing with the November 4th deadline approaching. It would take a huge offer for the Jets to consider parting ways with Quinnen Williams. Now, unfortunately, Green Bay is not capable of giving up a 1 because you already did that for Micah Parsons. So, obviously, you can't do that again. And if I had to pick one of those 2 guys to have on my team, I'd pick Micah Parsons over Quinnen Williams 10 times out of 10. But it might not cost a 1 because trade values for the Jets players from Connor Hughes, this is via California Jets on Twitter, but these are all from Connor Hughes' sources, say that the Jets would possibly only be wanting a 2nd-round pick. Now, that seems a little bit low in my opinion. I would be shocked if he got moved for anything less than a 1st-rounder, but if that is true, if they believe only 2nd-round pick is what you could truly need or what the New York Jets would truly want for Quinnen Williams, then, dude, I would do this in a heartbeat. Yeah, you'd go into the NFL draft without a 1st-rounder or a 2nd-round pick, and that would hurt, for sure. But you would be automatically, far and away, the favorites to win the Super Bowl, and you would shore up one of your biggest holes on the defensive side of football. So would you trade a 2nd for Quinnen Williams? You let me know in the comment section down below. Go ahead, give me a yes or a no. Weigh in with that answer, and let me know what you would do. Number 2, second blockbuster trade target, Devon Achane. a guy we've actually talked about on this show before, and a guy that, well, frankly, there's a reason that we talked about him. Jordan Schultz was the one who tweeted this out earlier, talking about running backs you need to keep your eye on, talking about Breece Hall, Quinnen Williams, some of the Jets players. Well, Easton Butler, known Packers insider, quoted that tweet and said that the Packers have called for a defensive player 2 weeks ago with the Jets. And then in his Twitter replies, they talked about Breece Hall, and he said they did call about some running backs, not the Jets, though. And then he was asked who they called about, and he said Devon Achane. Called on his price, I believe. Now, I've got some mixed opinions about this. We've already broken this down on a full video, and if you want to see that, just go into last week's videos. But I got to start off with thinking about Josh Jacobs and Devon Achane in the same backfield, because that would be the best running back duo, and I don't think it would necessarily be close. What Devon Achane does for you as both a receiving and a rushing back is like no other in the National Football League. Yes, that includes your own. Yes, that includes division rival Jahmyr Gibbs. I mean, look at his numbers so far in 2025. 107 carries for 539 yards per carry at 5 and 3 touchdowns on the ground. Receiving-wise, 37 receptions, 235 yards, 6.4 yards per reception, and 4 touchdowns through the air. I would know because he's lucky enough to be on my fantasy team. Now, I will admit, it is a little bit confusing that Green Bay is interested, because I would put running back pretty far down the totem pole in terms of what their interest should be and the biggest roster holes that they do need to fill. But regardless of that being said, if they end up swinging it, and they end up bringing Devon Achane to Green Bay, like, I'm not going to be mad about it. I am in the business, and I get it. There's a salary cap. This isn't fantasy football. But I'm in the business of getting as many good players on a single team as possible. And Devon Achane is one of the best players, one of the best running backs in the NFL. What's the % chance the Packers trade for Achane? You let me know down below in the comment section. Scale it 1 for 100, or 1 to 100. 100, you're saying it's a good chance. 1, you're saying it's bottom. Don't go anywhere. A big blockbuster target. One more is coming up next, but before we go any further in today's show, I got to give a massive shout out to my favorite sponsor, our great friends at Underdog. Football season is in full swing, and Underdog is the best place to get in on all the action. Let's cut to the chase. If you download the app today and sign up with promo code PackersReport, you score $100 in bonus funds or entries when you play your first $5. Playing on Underdog is easy. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like rushing yards, receptions, touchdowns, and more. Get your picks right, and you could win up to 5,000 times your cash. Here are my Underdog picks for Sunday's game against the Carolina Panthers. Give me the higher on Josh Jacobs, 13.5 yards longest rush. Couple of touchdowns against the Steelers, but not his best day. I think he bounces back in a big way. Tucker Kraft, he continues to stay hot. Give me the higher on 4.5 receptions for him. And Rico Dowdle, he's had a really, really good season. I think it goes higher than 50.5 rushing yards. Download the app today and sign up with promo code PackersReport to score $100 in bonus funds or entries when you play your first $5. That's promo code PackersReport. Underdog. Make picks, win money. Must be 18 or older, 19 or older in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 or older in Colorado for some games, 21 or older in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/playing terms_DFS_.html for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org in New York. Call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. Riq Woolen is the last name we're going to talk about before we head on out of here today. Cornerback with Seattle, a guy we know for a fact is being shopped by the Seahawks right now, and I will admit, this is easily the least blockbustery of them all. I mean, Quinnen Williams or Devon Achane, that would be front headline, 5-inch thick, I don't know. I don't read newspapers. I'm 25 years old. Regardless, I think you get what I'm saying. He'd be the least biggest story of the three of them, but I do still think he'd be a good fit. Now, he has had a little bit of a roller coaster type season. He's had a lot of good. He's had a lot of bad, but he's coming off of his best game yet. If you look at him in coverage, Week 7 against Houston, this is how he fared against Houston's targets. Jalen Noel, 1 target, 0 catches. Dalton Schultz, 2 targets, 2 catches, 18 yards only. Nico Collins, 2 targets, 1 catch, 3 receiving yards. Xavier Hutchinson, 2 targets, 0 catches. Jaden Higgins, 1 target, 0 catches. So he only let up 3 catches and 21 yards receiving, even though he was targeted 8 times in coverage against the Houston Texans. Like, I feel like Riq Woolen fits you really, really well. I think he gives you depth in that outside cornerback position. I think he arguably gives you a starter in that outside quarterback position. And I'm not crapping in any way on Carrington Valentine. He had a wonderful game. He was phenomenal against the Pittsburgh Steelers. But I do think this helps move Nate Hobbs back into his original position, the position he's at his best in that nickel slot corner. And additionally, of these 3 guys, I don't think it would cost you too much at all. In fact, I think Seattle's going to get quite desperate over the next couple of days, and I would not mind and be surprised to see him be moved at a price that they probably didn't intend on when they originally released the report that they were looking to trade him just about a month ago. Before we get out of here, let's get you caught up on the NFC North coming up in Week 9. The Lions will play the Vikings at home. Of course, that means the Vikings going on the road to face the Detroit Lions. The Bears will be on the road facing the Cincinnati Bengals, who just came off of losing to the Jets. So, I see a Bears win in the future. Right now, the NFC North standings look as this: 5-1-1. Forgot to add that other one. The Lions are 5-2. The Bears are 4-3. Vikings 3-4. Man, I can't believe I botched the NFC standings this much. Regardless, I think you get what I'm saying. This is the order: Packers, Lions, Bears, and Vikings. Okay, I'm going to get on out of here. Make sure you follow me on social media. Not for my ability to type out standings, but my ability to cover your favorite team on a daily basis. And make sure you're subscribed to the channel.